Navigate C1 Advanced Workbook by Julie Moore. Published and copyright Oxford University Press 2016. Audio 1.1. 1.
If I walk to work, it takes almost twice as long as going by tram.
2.
Cycling around is a great deal healthier than driving everywhere.
3.
Just walking or cycling about is every bit as good for you as going to the gym.
4.
I know I'm nowhere near as fit as I used to be.
5.
Children are spending considerably less time playing outside than previous generations.
6.
Far fewer children walk to school than 20 years ago.
Audio 1.2.
Resistance. Resist. Resistant. Implementation. Implement. Consultation. Consult. Adaptability. Adaptation. Adapt. Adaptable. Adapted. Imposition. Impose. Imposing. Facilitation. Facilitator. Facilitate.
Audio 1.3. 1.
A number of libraries are facing closure in our city.
2.
Dozens of staff are in danger of losing their jobs this month.
3.
Staff costs account for upwards of 80% of the library's budget.
4.
The council needs to make approximately £1 million of cuts in public spending.
5.
Nationally, over the past 5 years, library visits have fallen by just over 15%.
6.
The number of books being lent is down by nearly 20%.
7.
Hundreds of libraries are threatened with closure across the country.
8.
An incredible number of people have signed petitions to try and save their local libraries.
Audio 2.1.
The sporting world has changed significantly over the past century. When we look back at old black and white footage of athletics events from the past, it all looks incredibly slow. And our perceptions aren't wrong. The statistics show that every few years, 0.1 of a second has been taken off the time it takes to run the 100-meter sprint. So in 2008, Usain Bolt ran 100 meters in 9.69 seconds, and in 2009, he did it in 9.58 seconds. Many believe that in the next few years, the 9.5-second barrier will be broken. You could argue that it's the athlete's ability and dedication that has brought about these improvements, that modern athletes just work harder than their counterparts of 50 years ago. To an extent, that's true. Since 1981, fully professional athletes have been allowed to compete in the Olympic Games, for example. So now they are able to dedicate every waking and sleeping moment of their lives to pushing their bodies to the limits. But as a scientist, I have to argue that it's actually the scientific advances in the past century that have played a more important role. These advances have come from a number of different fields. Biomechanical engineering is the science of how we move our bodies and how we could move our bodies more efficiently in order to be faster. The new knowledge that's come from research in this area enables athletes to train smarter and to develop new techniques. And advances in materials science have transformed sports clothing and equipment through the development of radically new materials. We no longer see sprinters running around a track in heavy leather shoes and bulky cotton sports gear. But let's not forget about...
Audio 2.2. 1.
We all take it for granted that we can read the various signs around the hospital to help us get to where we need to go. But it's important to remember that some patients and visitors might struggle to read them. They may have sight problems, literacy issues, or English might not be their first language. This means that for some, a hospital is an unfamiliar place where you can easily get lost.
2.
In many cases, though, they may be embarrassed about asking for directions directly. Your role as volunteers is to look out for anyone who might be lost and to offer help in a friendly way, either pointing them in the right direction or, if necessary, taking them where they need to go.
3.
You'll all have seen the no mobile phones signs on the hospital wards. Mobile phone signals can, in some cases, interfere with potentially life-saving medical equipment, so their use in these areas is strictly prohibited. This doesn't, however, extend to the reception area, cafes, shops, and outside areas where mobile phone use is allowed.
4.
Understandably, when people are in hospital, especially in an unexpected or emergency situation, their first instinct is to let family and friends know what's going on. So, if you notice someone using a mobile phone on a ward, then you need to deal with the situation sensitively. Explain to them politely but firmly why phones can't be used in that area, and direct them to those parts of the hospital where it's permitted to make calls.
5.
As a member of hospital staff, you may be asked all kinds of questions about practical, administrative, and sometimes even medical issues. Of course, you want to be as helpful as you can, but it's absolutely vital that you don't give out any incorrect or potentially misleading information. If you're not completely sure about the answer to a question, either find another member of staff to ask, or refer the person to where they can find out for themselves, such as the information desk in reception.
Audio 2.3. A.
I think my greatest challenge and achievement in recent years has been setting up my own business at the same time as juggling the commitments that go with a young family. Being your own boss sounds like a brilliant idea, but the reality is that it can be utterly exhausting, especially when you're trying to combine it with ferrying the kids to after-school activities.
B.
I've been incredibly lucky throughout my scientific career to work with some really great colleagues on some groundbreaking projects. My greatest achievement, though, I suppose, would have to be the educational projects I've set up to make science more interesting for young people. If I've managed to pass on just a bit of my enthusiasm for my subjects to the next generation of scientists, then I'll be very happy.
C.
When I was growing up, I was kind of shy and self-conscious. I didn't like speaking in front of people. But then, while I was at university, I got involved in student politics. I'd be arguing all the time with my friends about some issue or another. My proudest moment came when I addressed a rally of thousands of people protesting against government cuts. I was so totally caught up in the moment that, well, I just forgot to be nervous.
Audio 2.4. 1.
I think my greatest challenge and achievement in recent years has been setting up my own business.
2.
Being your own boss sounds like a brilliant idea, but the reality is that it can be utterly exhausting.
3.
I've been incredibly lucky throughout my scientific career to work with some really great colleagues on some groundbreaking projects.
4.
My greatest achievement, though, I suppose, would have to be the educational projects I've set up to make science more interesting for young people.
5.
If I've managed to pass on just a bit of my enthusiasm for my subject.
6.
When I was growing up, I was kind of shy and self-conscious.
7.
I'd be arguing all the time with my friends about some issue or another.
8.
I was so totally caught up in the moment.
Audio 3.1. 1.
Have you asked Tim about the schedule for Friday?
Yes, I have. It's all sorted.
2.
I haven't heard anything from the organisers yet about the workshop.
No, neither have I.
3.
You weren't listening, were you?
Yes, I was. I heard everything he said.
4.
Are you free for a meeting at 10 o'clock on Wednesday?
Yes, I think I am. I'll check my diary though.
5.
I'm not sure the sales team are going to like my ideas.
They will do, don't worry.
6.
Are the brochures ready? We really do need to send them out by the end of the week.
Yes, I know. Don't worry, they'll be back from the printers tomorrow.
7.
I'm going to be working again this weekend.
Yes, so am I. It's always a busy time of year.
8.
I'm not sure whether to go on the trip to the fun fair at the weekend. It's not really my thing.
Do come along. It'll be fun.
Audio 3.2. 1.
Yes, I have. It's all sorted.
2.
No, neither have I.
3.
Yes, I was. I heard everything he said.
4.
Yes, I think I am. I'll check my diary though.
5.
They will do, don't worry.
6.
We really do need to send them out by the end of the week.
7.
Yes, so am I. It's always a busy time of year.
8.
Do come along. It'll be fun.
Audio 3.3. 1.
In India, cricket is the national sport. When you're a kid, you play cricket in the street and at school, and everyone wants to be on the cricket team. When India are playing a big international match, the streets are empty because everyone's gathered round the TV watching the game.
2.
The New Zealand rugby team, the All Blacks, are undoubtedly the best team in the world. You can't beat the excitement of going to a live match. The fans arrive at the stadium dressed in the team's all-black shirts with the white fern emblem. Then before the match starts, the team lines up facing the opposition in the middle of the pitch for the haka, a traditional Maori war dance that's designed to intimidate their opponents.
Audio 3.4.
OK, so the next thing is the issue of deliveries to customers. Up until now, different departments have been using different delivery options, and I think it's time that we had a company-wide policy and used a single supplier.
Sorry, what did you mean when you said departments are using different delivery options?
What I meant was some departments are sending things out using regular mail, and others are using different courier companies. Well, that worked fine in the old days when mail order volumes were quite small. But now that our online sales are really beginning to grow, I think we need a bit of a rethink. We need to decide what's going to be most cost-effective and best meet the company's needs.
Sorry, I didn't catch that last part.
What I was saying is, as a company, we need to find the best way to organise all our deliveries. Something that works for us now, but will work in the future too, as we expand. Are you with me?
So, am I right in thinking that you'd like us all to use the same courier company? A lot of products we send out are breakable, and the courier we use hasn't damaged anything in ages.
Not necessarily. Obviously, it'd probably be cheaper to use a single supplier, but I think we need to assess the needs of each department first, and then see if we can come up with a one-size-fits-all solution.
Sorry, I don't follow you.
I'll put it another way. If we can find one supplier who's right for everyone, then we'll go with that. But if not, then we may need to consider different solutions for different departments. And we may even decide not to make any changes at all. In other words, each department will still have the final say. I just think we could do with reviewing the situation.
Audio 4.1.
When you get to check-in to meet an unaccompanied child, you must introduce yourself to the child and to their parents and explain your role. You needn't give your full name, as using just your first name will generally come across as more friendly. Chat to the parents a bit about the trip and get a sense for how the child's feeling about the journey. Reassure them all about the process if necessary. Parents are supposed to stay at check-in until the flight departs, but if they have to rush off, then make sure you get a contact number, just in case of any long delays or cancellations. Before you leave check-in, you must make sure that the child has their passport and any other relevant documents like visas. Even though your check-in colleagues should have already checked everything, sometimes we find that parents automatically keep the documents rather than giving them to the child. You must accompany the child through passport control and security and go with them to the gate. If they want to look in shops or whatever, that's fine if there's enough time, but you mustn't let them out of your sight. Once you get to the departure gate, you don't have to sit with the child. Some kids will want to chat or to play with you, but if they're happy on their own, then just make sure you stay within sight. When the flight boards, you must accompany them to their seat and make sure they're settled in. At this point, a member of the cabin crew will take over responsibility for the duration of the flight, but it's a good idea to reassure the child and ensure they're settled in before you say goodbye.
Audio 4.2. 1.
Smallpox is believed to have arrived in the USA with early European colonizers in the 1600s.
2.
Dogs are not allowed on the beach during the summer period.
3.
The survey reveals that only 1/3 of elderly people who live alone are visited on a daily basis.
4.
A lot of services focus on the disabled person, and often the needs of the carer get forgotten.
5.
The results were analysed by 2 independent observers who both found high levels of pollution.
6.
The first Barnardo's Home for Boys was established in 1867.
7.
Many of her childhood photos got damaged during the fire.
8.
The company is understood to have changed its procedures since the incident.
Audio 4.3.
As you know, the development of the new supermarket has now been approved, and our company will be carrying out the construction work over the next 6 months. Of course, we recognise that this is going to cause some disruption for those of you living nearby, but we're hoping to keep it to a minimum. So I'm here today to answer any questions. Yes.
It says in the proposals that work will take place within normal working hours. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, regulations state that this kind of construction work can be carried out between 7:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday. So, of course, we'll make sure that we keep within those times.
But I'm not sure we can accept that. It's going to be incredibly disruptive. It means being woken up by it in the mornings 6 days a week.
I do understand your concerns, but I also think we need to look at the bigger picture here. If we work shorter hours, then the work will just take longer. And clearly, no one wants that.
Well, no, but we've got to live with this, and almost 12 hours a day of noise does seem excessive to me.
Perhaps if I could just come in here. I can see both sides of this, but do we have any room for compromise? Maybe if your team starts work at 7:30, but perhaps doesn't do anything too noisy until, say, 8 or 8:30?
Well, I could put that to them and see what they think. We may not be able to guarantee it every day, but we could certainly try to delay using the noisier machinery until after 8 most days, I think.
Thanks, that might work a bit better for us. At least then the noise wouldn't start until most people were on their way out.
Audio 4.4.
Thank you very much. I'm here to talk to you about one of the most serious health risks society is facing today, which, by the way, you're all doing right now. Any guesses? Yes, sitting. We spend hours and hours sitting at the desk at work, followed by a few more hours of sitting on the couch at home, and I haven't even mentioned the daily commute. The fact is that the human body is not designed to stay still for long periods. We evolved to move, and a number of bodily functions like circulation depend directly on it. There are several consequences of being in the one position for long periods. Some of them are more obvious, like strain on your spine or DVT, that's deep vein thrombosis. But some lesser-known effects might surprise you. Did you know, for example, that when sitting, your lungs send less oxygen to the brain, or that sitting's linked to several types of cancer and heart disease? And it's also about how long we spend being sedentary every day. Studies have indicated that people who sit for 6 hours a day have higher mortality rates than those who sit for 3, regardless of physical activity. You can be a triathlete in your free time, but if you're sitting too much, you're risking your health. Dr. James Levine, a specialist in the area, has summed up his findings in 2 sentences. Sitting's more dangerous than smoking, kills more people than HIV, and is more treacherous than parachuting. We're sitting ourselves to death. I guess by now you're feeling the urge to get up and stretch, right? Feel free to do so. That's exactly what I'm going to talk to you about next, and give you some tips about how to start turning things around. Let's start with those situations when you can't get up, much like in a plane, for instance. I'm guessing many of you have to go on business trips quite often, right? Well, the best thing to do when you're stuck in a seat is to move your feet in circles and massage your legs. Keep that blood flowing. It's also very helpful to drink lots of water. And don't feel guilty about bothering the flight attendants for some more. They're the lucky ones. They get to walk around most of the time during the flight. In your day-to-day office life, there are a number of very simple things you can do in relation to this problem, even before you get there. Commuting can mean quite a long time sitting, so why not park further away from the building entrance? It's just the walk you need to stretch your legs after the car ride, and I guarantee you'll find a spot much more easily. Now, What about in the office itself? We all know that the advice is to regularly stand up and walk around. But who has the time to do this? So instead, we really should be deliberately creating situations in which we have to get out of our seats several times a day. Take your desk, for instance. We tend to organize it so that everything is to hand. But what we should be doing is putting the phone or files we need to refer to all the time in a place where we have to stand up and get them. Another thing, if you have a meeting that doesn't require going over a lot of paperwork, why not take a stroll and have it in the nearest park? Studies suggest that walking meetings are actually much more productive. Remember what I said about limited blood circulation to your brain when you're sitting? So, to wrap up with a catchphrase that's going around a lot just now, sitting is the new smoking. However, don't forget that there are a lot of little things you can incorporate into your daily routine today that will make a world of difference. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, I'd be very happy to answer them now.
Audio 5.1 1.
For an increasing number of people, the mainstream media is not the first source they turn to for news.
2.
Blogging is just one way individuals and groups can publish their ideas to a wider audience.
3.
Social media sites like Twitter and YouTube also provide a platform which can be used to spread information and opinion.
4.
News reporters can't always get to the place an incident has happened right away.
5.
Citizen journalists can often publish news and pictures of events the moment they happen.
6.
A member of the public can post video footage online of a major incident and the emergency services attending it within seconds.
7.
Online media is easily accessible to a wide range of people, which means everyone can now have a voice.
8.
Individuals seeking to influence political policy are starting to challenge the more traditional, organised and well-funded lobby groups.
Audio 5.2 1.
Only the handful of countries which lie above the Arctic Circle experience the midnight sun.
2.
The absence of rain during the summer months led to drought conditions.
3.
Every year, dozens of people gather on the shores of the lake to celebrate Midsummer Eve.
4.
During the cold, wet winter months, there's a shortage of locally produced food, which leads to a reliance on imports.
5.
We generally produce a surplus of food in the summer months, some of which can be stored for use in winter.
6.
In the summer months, we spend a great deal of our time doing stuff outdoors.
7.
They were working an excessive number of hours in very high temperatures without adequate breaks or drinking water.
8.
Climate science is hampered by an acute scarcity of accurate data going back in time.
Audio 5.3 1.
I really should cut down on the amount of coffee I drink.
Yes, I know what you mean. If I drink too much, it gives me a headache.
I just struggle to get my day started without my morning coffee.
Oh yes, I couldn't agree more. It's always the first thing I do when I get up too.
2.
Look at these apples. I don't understand why people buy this kind of stuff.
I'm not sure I follow you. They look okay to me.
I'm sure they're delicious, but that's not the point. They've been flown halfway round the world. Why can't people just buy local apples?
I suppose you're right. But apples aren't in season here at the moment.
So why not eat something else that is?
3.
I don't let the kids have computers in their bedrooms because looking at screens before they go to sleep isn't good for them.
How do you mean?
Well, apparently there's something about the light from screens that affects the hormones in your brain and stops you sleeping properly.
Really? I'd no idea.
Yes, there's been lots of research into it.
Audio 6.1.
In recent years, I've started using computer games as part of my science classes. Not that long ago, I would have thought of games as just a gimmick, something to keep the kids quiet instead of proper teaching. But there have been some real advances in educational software of late that have completely changed my opinion. I always spend quite a bit of time testing a game before I decide to use it. If a game didn't have a real educational aim, then it wouldn't be approved by the school. It wouldn't be right to take up valuable class time with something that was fun but didn't really serve a purpose. Let me give you an example. We introduce kids to the idea of ecosystems as part of the environmental science program. Lots of the theories about how plants and animals interact are quite complicated and a bit abstract. They'd be quite difficult to explain without concrete examples. In the old days, we'd have taken the students out on a field trip to the local park to look at a pond. They'd have had lots of fun collecting samples and getting wet and dirty, and they'd have learnt something about that particular ecosystem. Now, that's great, and we do still go on field trips, but it's a bit limiting. It wouldn't be possible, for example, to take them to visit the Amazon rainforest or the Nile River Delta. We've got a game we use, though, that allows them to explore different ecosystems around the world. They can find out about places that they wouldn't be able to visit using video and sound to get a real feel for the plants and animals found there. Then they're given a scenario where they're asked what they think would happen if a particular element of that system was changed. They work together in groups, so they have to discuss all the options and decide which one would be best. They make their choice, and the game simulates what would actually happen. And it's not always as straightforward as you'd expect. Sometimes there are knock-on effects the students wouldn't have predicted. So not only do they find out about all these amazing natural environments, but it encourages their critical thinking skills too. They have to work out the different cause and effect connections at play in each scenario in order to decide why something has happened and what to do next. And of course, there's a gaming element to it too, in that the groups who make the best decisions score more points. All the videos and stuff are great, but I don't think the kids would get quite so engaged if there wasn't a competitive element to it.
Audio 6.2. 1.
Not that long ago, I would have thought of games as just a gimmick.
2.
If a game didn't have a real educational aim, then it wouldn't be approved by the school.
3.
In the old days, we'd have taken the students out on a field trip.
4.
They'd have had lots of fun collecting samples.
5.
And they'd have learnt something about that particular ecosystem.
6.
They can find out about places that they wouldn't be able to visit.
7.
They're asked what they think would happen if a particular element of that system was changed.
8.
And it's not always as straightforward as you'd expect.
9.
Sometimes there are knock-on effects the students wouldn't have predicted.
Audio 6.3. 1.
Apparently, we visited Malaysia when I was a kid, but I have no memory of having been there at all.
2.
Looking back at old family photos, most of my childhood appears to have been spent at the beach.
3.
Last summer, my cousin Jandy was to have stayed with us for a couple of weeks, but her plans changed.
4.
It was quite chilly in the evenings. and I was relieved to have packed a warm jacket.
5.
Now you mention it, I do vaguely remember having arranged to meet up next weekend.
6.
Ideally, I would have preferred to have taken a later flight, but they were more expensive.
7.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to have brought that book for you, but I forgot.
8.
Alex said to tell you he's really sorry for having missed your birthday.
9.
I only had time for a quick coffee with Mai, but I was glad to have met up with her anyway.
10.
Luigi was complaining again about not having been invited to the wedding.
Audio 6.4.
Did you see that new wildlife thing on TV last night?
Yeah, what did you think of it?
I thought it was great. Some of the filming was ever so impressive. I loved the bit with the tigers. I really don't know how they managed to get such close-up shots.
Yeah, there was plenty of really good photography, but I thought the commentary was just a bit annoying.
How do you mean?
Well, they'd say, "This animal isn't found anywhere else in the world," or something like that. Then just a few minutes later, they'd recap and say exactly the same thing again, like you were too stupid to understand the first time.
I know what you mean. I guess it was rather repetitive at times. And to be honest, all that stuff about how difficult the filming conditions were got on my nerves a bit too. I just wanted them to get on with showing the animals.
Exactly, and then there was that bit about the...
Audio 7.1. 1.
Christina was devastated when she found out she'd been passed over for promotion.
2.
I'm envious of anyone who has the time and money to have more than one holiday a year.
3.
We do understand the frustrations of the people in the neighbourhood.
4.
Boubacar was understandably apprehensive about the first day of his new apprenticeship.
5.
There's an enormous sense of relief amongst everyone that the department isn't going to close.
6.
His constantly critical comments clearly irritate his colleagues.
7.
The media have been astonished by the team's success this season.
8.
My boss was far from sympathetic about me having to take yet another day off.
9.
The real challenge has been how to overcome apathy towards the project.
10.
Mimi didn't like her new haircut and was feeling rather self-conscious about it.
11.
I quite liked the proposal, but the finance director couldn't have been more indifferent to the idea.
12.
The patient was feeling a lot of discomfort in the lower back area and was on strong painkillers.
Audio 7.2.
Devastated. Devastating. Devastation. Devastate. Envious. Envy. Envy. Frustrated. Frustrating. Frustration. Frustrate. Apprehensive. Apprehension. Relieved. Relief. Relieve. Irritated. Irritating. Irritation. Irritate. Astonished. Astonishing. Astonishment. Astonish. Sympathetic. Sympathy. Sympathise. Apathetic. Apathy. Self-conscious. Self-consciousness. Indifferent. Indifference. Uncomfortable. Discomfort. Discomfort.
Audio 7.3. 1,
It completely took me by surprise when he said he was emigrating.
2,
I'd make a point of telling them it wasn't acceptable behaviour.
3,
I just can't think straight today, but no news is good news, I suppose.
4,
It was starting to get on my nerves, so I moved to a different seat.
5,
I was mortified when I realised she'd heard what I said.
6,
I heard there was a heated argument about it during questions at the end of the seminar.
7,
Don't take it personally if you don't get a response.
8,
Next time, I'll think twice before using him. He never meets his deadlines.
9,
She grabbed the opportunity to take a job in the Tokyo office with both hands.
10,
I didn't lose my temper about it, but it was close.
Audio 7.4. 1,
Sue, who sits at the next desk, is really getting on my nerves with her constant moaning. If she hates it so much, why doesn't she just leave?
2,
I was absolutely mortified when they made me get up on stage to make a speech. I hate speaking in front of people.
3,
I don't know why I did it. I was in a total panic and I just wasn't thinking straight.
4,
I made a point of thanking all the staff personally for their huge efforts over the previous 12 months.
5,
Josh's negative reaction rather took me by surprise. I thought he would have been more amenable to the suggestion.
6,
I got into a bit of a heated argument with my brother over the phone, but we sorted it out in the end.
7,
Of course, you can't please everyone all the time, so I try not to take it personally when there's negative feedback.
8,
With hindsight, I think I rather rushed into undertaking such a big project. For one thing, I should have realized that our resourcing budgets were never going to stretch that far.
Audio 7.5. 1,
I'm afraid I won't be able to get the sales report finished by Thursday like I'd hoped, but I can get it to you on Monday. Is there a problem with that?
Well, I need it for a meeting on Monday, and I'd really like to look at it over the weekend.
What if I were to get it to you by the end of the afternoon on Friday?
Okay, provided I definitely have it before the weekend.
2,
I was wondering if we could make next week's seminar a bit earlier.
I'm sorry, but what time did you have in mind? I have to get a bus into college and I already leave quite early.
I was thinking we could start at 8 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. perhaps.
I'm sorry, but I'd struggle to get in for 8 a.m.
Okay. Supposing we make it 8:30 a.m. Would that work for you?
Yes, that sounds okay.
Great. Well, if that's okay with everyone else, then I'll see you all next Wednesday at 8:30 a.m.
3,
Could I borrow your car for a bit over the weekend?
Well, it depends what you mean by for a bit. I can't be without it all weekend.
No, just for a couple of hours on Saturday afternoon. I need to pick some stuff up from a friend's place, a bit out of town.
OK, I'll have to ask Isabel in case she needs it, but it should be fine.
Audio 7.6. 1,
I can get it to you on Monday. Is there a problem with that?
2,
What if I were to get it to you by the end of the afternoon on Friday?
3,
Okay, provided I definitely have it before the weekend.
4,
I was wondering if we could make next week's seminar a bit earlier.
5,
Sorry, but what time did you have in mind?
6,
Supposing we make it 8:30 a.m. Would that work for you?
7,
Yes, that sounds okay.
8,
Well, it depends what you mean by for a bit.
9,
I'll have to ask Isabel in case she needs it.
Audio 8.1. 1,
Absorbent.
2,
Biodegradable.
3,
Durable.
4,
Flexible.
5,
Versatile.
6,
Water resistant.
7,
Transparent.
Audio 8.2. 1,
I generally bring ceramic pots indoors in winter because they can crack if it gets very cold.
Any ceramic pot should be brought indoors in winter, otherwise they'll crack in the cold.
2,
If the drawers are made of solid wood, they're bound to be pretty heavy.
The drawers might be quite heavy if they're made of solid wood.
3,
The cutlery can't be made of solid silver. That would be incredibly expensive.
It's unlikely the cutlery's made of solid silver. It'd be too expensive.
4,
In the past, I suppose running shoes might have been made of leather or cloth maybe.
I guess running shoes must have been made of leather in those days.
5,
There's a chance that the festival might be cancelled if the ground doesn't dry out in time.
It's unlikely the festival will go ahead because the ground's just too wet.
6,
Because they're made of stainless steel, these pans could last you a lifetime.
These stainless steel pans are so durable, they're guaranteed to last a lifetime.
7,
We're sure to see more biodegradable plastics being used in the future.
Biodegradable plastics may soon become more commonplace.
8,
It seems likely that early man largely used animal skins to stay warm and dry.
Early man would have used animal skins for clothing and shelter.
Audio 8.3. 1,
Despite this setback, we're going to press on with our plans.
2,
The legal process could drag on for a year or more.
3,
Don't put off repairs. It could be more costly in the long run.
4,
Conventional light bulbs give off a lot of heat, which is a waste of energy.
5,
These workshops build on students' existing practical experience.
6.
Most dairy products will go off fairly quickly unless kept in the fridge.
7.
Biodegradable plastics have been slow to catch on because they're expensive to produce.
8.
Many agricultural vehicles can easily run on biodiesel.
Audio 8.4.
Our next guest is a leading psychologist, and he's here today to talk about happiness. Dr. Draymore, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for inviting me. It's great to be here.
So I'll get straight to the point. What is it that makes us feel happy?
Well, let's start with what doesn't, shall we? The most common mistake people make about happiness is to attach it to material gain. You know, that house or car you're finally going to buy after years of saving up. Not going to make you really any happier, I'm afraid.
Is there any scientific evidence of that?
Plenty. For instance, over the last century or so, life has improved enormously in all financial and social indicators, but our levels of happiness have remained pretty much the same. Another thing that doesn't necessarily make you happier are those life-changing moments, like getting married. Studies indicate that when people get married, their level of happiness goes up considerably for the first 2 years, but then goes back to where they were.
That might not surprise some of our audience too much.
But the good news is that the same is true for tragic events too, like the death of someone close to you. There is a strong dip in our happiness, but it soon goes back to what some scientists call the baseline.
So, how can we be happier then?
In short, a combination of 3 things: pleasure, engagement, and meaning.
Let's talk a bit about each one.
Well, we all know what pleasure is, that warm feeling we get when we listen to a good joke or eat something nice. Engagement refers to how much the individual is connected to what they are doing. The perfect state of engagement is when you're so deeply involved in what you are doing that you forget about the world around you. So it's worth reflecting on how often you find yourself in such a state of mind and what kinds of activities get you there.
So, would something like gardening count?
Oh yes, hobbies are a great way to achieve this state. And then the last thing is what's known as meaning. This refers to the knowledge that we are part of something bigger and that our life has a purpose.
So you need a bit of all 3 of these?
Yes, that's the magic formula, really. The problem is we live in a society that encourages people to focus mostly on just one of these things.
Would that be pleasure?
Exactly. Fulfilling our immediate desires. Unfortunately, of the 3, pleasure is the one that contributes the least to our overall happiness.
OK, so now we know what makes us happy, but what can we do to achieve it?
Well, the first thing to do is to find out what you've got too much of and what you're not getting enough of. As I said, most of us will find we're focusing too much on pleasure, but there'll also be quite a few career-minded people out there who are so engaged with their jobs that they're neglecting their pleasure. So if it's more pleasure you need, obviously you have to find out what things give you pleasure and do more of them. And another important point is studies show that pleasure increases if you're with a relative or friend.
I see. And you've already mentioned hobbies for engagement. What else?
Well, engagement is mostly a question of attitude. Dedicate yourself as much as possible to the task at hand and try to concentrate on immersing yourself into it. Don't let your mind wander off in other directions.
And then finally, meaning?
Yes. 2 very important things here. Firstly, doing something selfless, like voluntary work, for instance, is a great way to have a purpose in your life which is beyond your own personal needs and desires. And then there's also being grateful. Acknowledging what you're grateful for and who you are grateful to really does work wonders.
Well, that was all really fascinating. Dr. Draymore is staying with us and will be taking your calls after this traffic update. So get your questions ready.
Audio 9.1. 1.
Apparently, the college is going to get tablet computers for all students to use in class.
Really? I'll believe it when I see it.
2.
A parcel arrived for you this morning.
That'll be the book I ordered online.
3.
Can I speak to Mr. Williams, please?
If you'll just hold on a moment, I'll see if he's around.
4.
Are there any spaces left on the Spanish course?
I'll check when I'm back in the office. I'll let you know.
5.
Do you think the brochures for the new course are going to be ready for next month?
We'll see. It depends when we get the layout back from the designer.
6.
I'm not so sure that taking a class of 8-year-olds to the theatre is such a good idea.
Don't worry, it's all organised. It'll be fine, you'll see.
7.
I'm thinking of handing in my notice. I feel as if I'm in an impossible situation.
You can't resign. I simply won't hear of it. None of this is your fault.
8.
George is starting his final year of school this year.
Wow, time flies. It won't be long till he's going off to university.
Audio 9.2. A.
It won't be long till he's going off to university.
B.
I'll believe it when I see it.
C.
We'll see.
D.
I simply won't hear of it.
E.
I'll let you know.
F.
If you'll just hold on a moment.
G.
It'll be fine, you'll see.
H.
That'll be the book I ordered.
Audio 9.3. 1.
Some lectures are now being podcast on the university's website.
2.
I think the venue's on the main square, but I'll text you the exact address.
3.
The dining area is bookended by an open kitchen on one side and a long wooden bar on the other.
4.
All suggestions were minuted and published in the proceedings.
5.
Large producers are reluctant to green their products unless they can charge a premium.
6.
In Toronto, she medalled in the 200 metres and the sprint relay.
7.
The department will be actioning all the report's recommendations in the coming months.
8.
Property prices have been trending upwards for the past 18 months.
Audio 9.4.
This presentation will focus on the dramatic growth in the number of people entering higher education around the world in recent decades. First of all, I'd like to look at some statistics. According to UNESCO, the percentage of adults worldwide who received tertiary education rose from 19% in 2000 to 29% in 2010, and this figure has continued to soar. To a great extent, that growth has come from countries like China and India with rapidly growing economies, but there has also been significant growth in parts of Africa as well. Having looked at a few figures, I'd now like to consider the effects of this trend. Broadly speaking, widening access to higher education is seen as a positive thing, qualified graduates are in demand in what is increasingly becoming a knowledge-based global economy. However, not everyone sees this higher education boom in such a positive light. Some experts take the view that encouraging too many young people to pursue a degree-level education will lead to higher levels of graduate unemployment, as economies around the world are simply unable to absorb such large, qualified workforces. Also, the effect of rapid expansion on the quality of education remains to be seen. Only time will tell if a growing number of students in some countries, accompanied by a lack of adequate funding and not enough qualified academic staff, might result in lower standards. However, there's no denying that greater participation in higher education is set to continue, with some predictions suggesting that the number of tertiary-level students worldwide will reach 262 million by 2025.
Audio 10.1 1.
I've got a contactless card, and I've never had any difficulty in using it. It's really simple.
2.
With contactless cards, there could be a risk of paying for something accidentally if your card's too near a reader.
3.
I think if I had a choice between paying by card or using a mobile app, I'd probably just use my phone.
4.
Payment apps have really good security controls, so there's no reason for users to worry about how safe they are.
5.
There's been quite a bit of debate about whether peer-to-peer payment apps will really catch on.
6.
PayPal is just one of the big-name companies to have cornered the mobile payment market.
7.
I'm not sure I really see the point of wearable tech to pay with. It's just more stuff to carry round.
8.
As an artist, this technology is opening up new opportunities for me to sell my work without always having to ask people for cash.
Audio 10.2 1.
When I was a teenager, I got the opportunity to be an extra in a Hollywood movie that was being filmed on location near to my hometown. At first, I was really excited about maybe getting to meet some of the famous cast. But actually, what was far more eye-opening was seeing all the behind-the-scenes work. It was amazing to see how the cameramen captured shots from every angle, and I loved watching all the technical expertise that went into carefully creating exactly what the director was looking for. I even enjoyed watching the more mundane stuff, like the wardrobe people, the makeup artists, and the catering crew preparing meals for all those people. It was a phenomenal logistical operation. In the end, I think I only appeared on screen for about 4 seconds. But for me, it wasn't really about my role. The whole experience just gave me a totally new perspective on the film industry. It was years ago now, but I still can't watch a movie without thinking about everything that went into making it.
2.
As a young engineering student, I was lucky enough to go to Tunisia for 2 months to work on a small-scale project aimed at using renewable energy to desalinate seawater into fresh drinking water. It was a fascinating project from an engineering perspective, using some really innovative techniques. We stayed in a small town on the edge of the desert, and the thing that struck me most was the geography and atmosphere of the place. I can still vividly remember waking on my first morning and looking out on an absolutely breathtaking landscape. It was so unlike anything I'd ever seen before, with sand and rock stretching as far as the eye could see. And the climate was a new experience for me too. Of course, I'd been relatively prepared for the heat. I'd been told that we'd only be able to work in the mornings and evenings, and not during the hottest time of day. But what really caught me by surprise was how the temperature dropped so dramatically after sunset. And of course, the extremes of the environment hugely affected how people lived there. I learned a lot from how their daily routines fitted in with the patterns of heat and cold. And actually seeing how water use had to be carefully managed gave all the more motivation to make the project a success.
Audio 10.3 1.
This model only comes with a free carry case.
2.
Only this model comes with a free carry case.
3.
The kids really enjoyed helping out in the garden.
4.
The kids enjoyed helping out in the garden, really.
5.
The participants in a webinar can only type comments in the chat box.
6.
Only the participants in a webinar can type comments in the chat box.
7.
I'm only giving Chloe a lift to the cinema.
8.
I'm only giving Chloe a lift to the cinema.
9.
I'm only giving Chloe a lift to the cinema.
Audio 10.4
With all the changes going on in the neighbourhood, what with the new sports centre being built and all the work that's going to involve, improving parking and stuff, we need a way of keeping local residents up to date with what's going on and how the changes are going to affect them. The local council have offered us a small amount of funding, so we need to decide how best to spend it. Any ideas?
Personally, I'd go for a website. We can post all the latest news and even have links to other relevant information too. It'd be a perfect way to keep everyone up to date.
I understand what you're saying. That would work really well for some people. But what about the older residents? I'm not sure all of them have internet access, so they'd be a bit left out.
True, it might be better just to have a simple notice board. Perhaps outside the newsagents or somewhere like that. Most people go that way pretty regularly. That way everyone would see it.
But wouldn't that just get a bit messy? Notices would get wet and torn, and people might just start pinning up adverts and stuff that wasn't relevant.
Well, one way of avoiding that would be to have something that's properly enclosed, behind glass or whatever. And maybe it could be locked, so only people posting official notices would be able to open it.
Nikki, what's your feeling on this? Would a website or a regular notice board be better?
Well, it could be that we do both. I know we don't have a lot of money, but it's easy enough to set up a free website nowadays, and then we can spend the cash on a decent notice board, like Kerry suggested.
I think you could be right. Then everyone would be able to access the information in the way that best suits them. And if you think about it, if you're posting some information on the website, it's not that difficult to just print out a hard copy and stick it on the notice board, is it?
Exactly.
OK, that's decided then. I'll look into getting a notice board, and Jake, maybe you could check out some free website hosting services?
Audio 11.1 1.
Our staff acted in a completely responsible way at all times.
2.
Social media is responsible for many of the most recent additions to the language.
3.
The decision to relocate to a cheaper out-of-town premises was purely economic.
4.
He advised the government on their economic policy.
5.
Under the present system, children start studying English aged 10.
6.
We can detect whether the disease is present using a simple blood test.
7.
As a writer, he makes a conscious effort to avoid English loan words.
8.
The patient was barely conscious when she was brought in.
9.
I'd like to thank everyone concerned for all their hard work.
10.
The school received a number of calls from concerned parents.
Audio 11.2. 1,
Whichever variety of chili you choose to grow, it'll need plenty of water.
2,
There are no artificial ingredients whatsoever in our organic lemonade.
3,
I love fresh asparagus, no matter how it's cooked.
4,
Whoever came up with the idea of garlic ice cream?
5,
The staff canteen offers around half a dozen different lunch options. Salad, pizza, soup or whatever.
6,
Whenever the weather's good, we have a barbecue.
Audio 11.3. 1,
You'll need 2 green peppers sliced lengthways into thin strips.
2,
Sprinkle over a generous amount of freshly grated Parmesan cheese.
3,
Then add the 2 lightly beaten egg yolks and stir to combine with the flour.
4,
The sauce is perfect served with grilled chicken or fish.
5,
Wash and peel the potatoes and then cut them into cubes.
6,
Add the remaining ingredients and season to taste.
7,
Garnish the dish with finely chopped mint and parsley.
8,
Pour the melted chocolate over the strawberries and serve with cream.
Audio 11.4. 1,
The day before, it felt like the whole country was on the move, rushing home to be with their families.
2,
At midnight, bells started ringing out all across the city.
3,
The fireworks were spectacular to watch and stunningly loud.
4,
Several cities have tried to ban firecrackers on safety grounds.
5,
The streets were packed with local families and tourists all mingling together.
6,
I took my whole family and I think everyone had an amazing time.
Audio 12.1. 1,
Far-reaching implications.
2,
Substantial difficulties.
3,
Reproduce a string of up to 7 words.
4,
Misinterpret the data.
5,
Fundamentally flawed.
6,
A disproportionate response.
Audio 12.2.
Did you hear about that pensioner who had a voicemail message recorded by his late wife deleted by his phone company?
No. What happened?
Well, apparently he'd kept the message for something like 14 years, and he used to listen to it when he was feeling lonely, just to hear his wife's voice. But then he's had to have his phone upgraded or something, and while the engineer's been working on the phone, he's only gone and deleted the message.
Oh no. He must have been gutted.
Yes, he was absolutely devastated. What made it worse was that the phone company had promised that the message would be okay.
Oh, that's awful.
Yes. So, anyway, at first, the company's just offered him some compensation, which of course isn't what he wants. But then, after a bit more investigation, they managed to retrieve the message after all.
So it was saved on their servers, was it?
I guess it must have been. Anyway, the guy was understandably overjoyed when he heard the message again.
Oh, what an incredibly touching story.
Audio 12.3.
Today, we're going to look into one of the most heated debates in the history of biology, sociology, and many other sciences. Nature versus nurture. The key question is how much of who you are is due to genetics and how much is down to your upbringing and the environmental factors therein. There should be time for questions at the end. In terms of genetics, what a growing number of researchers believe nowadays is that genes don't determine directly what you will become, but rather offer predispositions, which might manifest themselves or not, depending on environmental influences. Scientists have discovered that within the approximately 35,000 genes every single one of us carries lie the mechanisms that can influence personality, such as impulsivity, emotional intelligence, and even addiction to certain substances. Research seems to indicate that you can have a sweet tooth, or at least be very inclined to have one, even before you're born. A good example of how nature can influence personality is the gene FOXP2 in the chromosome 7. Mutations in this gene lead to problems in speech and language, which, in turn, may make it more likely for that child to become shy and quiet as they compare themselves with their siblings and their peers. So you see, whereas there isn't a gene for shyness, your body might contain strong influencing factors that make you much more inclined to that type of behaviour. Let's look at the other side of the coin. Amongst those scientists who are strong believers in the importance of the environment, the main controversy is regarding who influences your personality the most. There are those who believe the parents are mainly responsible for the development of a child's character. Mostly by imitation, children pick up from their parents different patterns of behaviour and personality traits, both positive, such as self-confidence or honesty, and negative, like aggressiveness and anxiety. Others defend the theory that peers, mostly friends, have a much stronger role. The importance of what is often called horizontal relationships is dictated by a primitive survival instinct. Ever since humans have walked the earth, we have felt a strong need to be integrated into a social group, which in the past would have made the difference between survival and death. So when a child nowadays identifies themselves with a particular group, they tend to have to behave according to its internal rules in order to be accepted. Peer pressure can therefore lead not only to habit formation, but potentially to personality changes, especially when younger. So, considering the arguments presented, both sides have a strong case supported by solid evidence. This historical controversy, however, seems to finally be coming to an end, as modern research indicates that the result of this battle is actually perhaps technically a draw. A recent collaboration between scientists from Australia and Holland concluded that 49% of human traits and diseases are due to genetic influence, while 51% are caused by environmental factors. The bottom line is that both nature and nurture play significant roles in the development of your personality. From there, we'll be in a better position to ascertain how personality can, or indeed whether it should, be modified. There are interesting times ahead, that's for sure. Now, on the screen you can see the titles of papers from a number of leading scientists